So good afternoon everybody, this is my next video on the secret of Neet Toppers. So in the last video I talked about the states of mind. So there are three states: the flight mode, next is the fight mode, and third is the silent mode. So if you want to be the topper, the first thing is be in the silent mode. Silent modes means just be an observer and try to observe yourself without being involved in emotional conflicts. So when your mind is in silent mode, only then you will be able to understand the process. So let's start with the process. The task here is to solve questions which are of three types: factual, conceptual, and multi-conceptual. And the neural pattern for these are different. So first of all, before solving any question, try to judge that is it a factual question or the conceptual question or the multiple conceptual question. To solve a factual question, you need to use your memory. So try to learn to use your, suppose this is the brain. So these parts, the temporal, parietal and the occipital lobe, these parts are responsible for memory. So feel that your front part is not active and these parts are active when you try to memorize things. Practice on that again and again with being in the silent state of mind. Try to observe every extreme emotion, may be positive or may be negative. Just adopt the mediocre emotion or the neutral emotion. Next thing is the conceptual question. For solving conceptual question, you need to use the information plus the thinking process. For thinking, you need to use the frontal lobe as well as the parietal lobe. So the neurological process here is a bit different. It involves the process used to solve factual question, but in addition to that, it also involves the process to use the parietal lobe of the brain. So you have to work on parallel processes. That's why conceptual question solving is a bit hectic, is a bit tricky, because human mind-brain system is unable to process parallel things. It's designed to process series things. So the trick here is you use a switching mechanism between the memory and the visualization or the parietal lobe, and there should be gaps between using memory and using the visualization. So, but it takes time, so be slow, learn how to convert the parallel processing into the series one by working very slowly. So this is the process of dealing with the conceptual questions. Now comes the multiple questions, multi-conceptual question. So in multiple conceptual question, there are repetition of conceptual based process. So let's say there will be 10 process in parallel and you have to manage all the things. So the dealing strategy will be similar to that of conceptual question, but with the difference that here Number of tasks that are to be executed are large in numbers, so your focus level should be more so that you are able to manage all the processes in series, convert them into a sequence, and work on each process in series. So this is the mechanism of solving the multiple conceptual question. But during this entire process, you must be in a silent mode. That is, you just observe everything which is happening within you and put yourself to the recursive testing. Ask yourself what you have done during this time. Suppose you study for 1 hour, then during that study, break that into 55 plus 5 minutes. You study for 55 hours and retrieve, check yourself what you have studied during the next 5 minutes. Sorry, it's 55 minutes. So use a combination of this, use this strategy, studying and testing in series. And let's suppose that you study for 55 minutes, then test yourself for 5 minutes. This is a general example. You can reduce this in the same ratio. The ratio should be ideally 11:1 or 10:1. So suppose you study for 10 minutes, then revise for 1 minute. This is the simple concept behind all this. So gradually you'll be able to develop the neural algorithms, the neural patterns. You'll be able to develop neural patterns which are needed for being a topper in any exam, because the difference lies in the mind-brain system, in the neural patterns. Two human beings are different because of the neural patterns within their mind-brain system, and there is a substantial role of the neural patterns on the result. But the thing is that most of the students are not even aware about the fact that without proper neural patterns, without properly tuned mind-brain system, studying hard is not going to achieve anything. You can't achieve anything by just studying hard without developing the optimal neural patterns. So the entire turning point in being a topper is the development of optimal neural patterns, and this can be achieved by working most of the times in silent state of mind, neither flighting nor fighting. So this is a very simple concept. Try to observe your emotions, try to adapt to the neutral emotions, neither negative nor positive. Otherwise, generally, you will not be able to achieve optimal results and will just roam around here and there without any purpose. So let's conclude the entire things. So what we have learned is that Neet toppers or topper of any exam, you can say, they use certain different mind brain, you can say mind brain algorithms technically, or in a very simple way, the mind brain pattern. Or putting things more simply, you can say that the mind brain pattern of the topper student is different from other students. So that pattern is different, and if that pattern can be taught to an ordinary student, then certainly he can be the topper. So here the fundamental criteria of being a topper is use of mind brain patterns, which involves yourself being in 3 states: the flight mode, the fight mode, and the silent mode. So if you want to achieve highest success, or want to be a topper in exam, then make sure that you are in silent state of mind most of the times. This is not a single day task, it will require at least 21 days of practice for that.